Hey guys, what's up? It's Tom. Welcome to the JetLife podcast. My name is Tom Lelyo. I'm your ultimate jet guide. And today we're talking about important documents that you're going to want to have if you're a private jet broker. We're pulling back the curtain on private aviation to help you buy and sell private jets and change your life through private aviation. So let's get started. There's four important documents we're going to go over today: the listing proposal, the acquisition agreement, the letter of intent or offer to purchase, and the aircraft purchase agreement. There are other documents such as commission agreements, warranty bill of sales, and such that are also going to be important. But I want to do a quick overview of the main four. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them into the chat room. We're on YouTube. I would recommend, if you're checking us out on Instagram, go over to YouTube, go to the channel, The Ultimate Jet Guide, and watch the stream there. We're going to be doing some screen sharing over there. And yeah, we're just going to have a good time talking about documents today. So I'm glad people are here today. So let's get rocking and rolling. The first one we want to go over is going to be the listing agreement. And why is the listing agreement important? It's what solidifies you as having exclusive rights to market and sell an aircraft. So you've approached an owner, you've told him or her, hey, I want to be your guy to list and sell the aircraft. They're giving you permission to do so. And so we put that in writing. We want to know how long you're going to have exclusivity. We want to know, what is your commission structure? How does that work? What are the responsibilities and the obligations of the seller to you? And so let's pull that up over here. Listing proposal. Now, just so straight out of the gate, it's going to let you guys know if you are a JetLife broker or if you decide to join the program. You'll get this documents bundle. I do have it for sale on the YouTube. You'll see in the comments is where the link is, and you'll have access to all four of these documents. So we're looking at the exclusive listing agreement here. And with this, we're just going to go over a few quick things. Number one, exclusivity. This means that you are the only person that's going to be able to represent this aircraft. So, if somebody comes to me and they say, hey, Tom, I've got an off-market aircraft for sale, or I have an aircraft for sale, I always ask them, do you have an exclusive listing agreement, or do you have a mandate to sell this aircraft? And if they tell me no, then all of a sudden I'm very weary. That means that they don't have control of the asset. They don't have control or understanding with the seller. And they might say, yeah, I know this guy. I've sold him a bunch of airplanes before. Well, things can just get hairy real fast. And so I'll choose not to. I'll err on the side of being cautiously optimistic that this is actually going to go through, and ultimately, I'm going to try to get to the seller and be like, hey, listen, I want to sell the aircraft for you. Here's the buyer. Like, let me get in writing that there's going to be a commission here, because if there's not, then, what are we doing? So exclusivity is really important over here. The term of the agreement, how long is this going to be for? So typically I'll do 120 days. I might start at 120 and make it less if I need to kind of secure a listing and this person doesn't know me. They don't want to be locked in for 4 months. It's like, okay, no problem. Let's do, I usually don't do less than 60, because it usually takes 30 to get things up and running. And, at least another 30, you can get a few phone calls in and prove that you're actually actively marketing the aircraft and doing your best here. In my agreement, it has an automatic renewal of 30 days. Sometimes the sellers will change that to where it ends right away. And then I also have a cancellation of just give me 10 days notice so I can, make the moves that I have to do. Now, importantly, and we'll see this in the next section, marketing resources. Like, when does this agreement start? So according to the market resources, owner agrees to provide the agent with requested information required for marketing within 5 business days of the mutual execution of the agreement. So within 5 business days, I need your photos, I need your Sierra tracks, your SASCOM, your maintenance reports. I need any, liens or title things that are going on. I just need information from you and your team to help market the aircraft. And so I'm expecting that within 5 days of this getting signed. If the owner does not provide the requested information required within 5 business days, the term of the agreement shall be extended to the full term listed above based on the date of the agent's receipt of these items. So what this does is, just because we sign it on January 1st, I need that stuff within 5 days. I'm going to say it's going to take 5 days to collect all the information and get it on the market. right? But if I don't get it in 5 days, well, I don't want that counting against the ticking clock of when this agreement is going to run out. So we put that clause in there so that once we receive the stuff, that's when we're going to go ahead and start the clock. So I just kind of throw that in there. Agent will prepare, all the media, photographs, social media, and that sort of thing. So we're saying here, like, they just need to get us the resource that we're asking for. Some brokers will charge for professional photos. They'll say to the client, okay, the listing agreement will do everything, but we need you to get professional photos. And that could be $500. That could be $2,000, $3,000, depending on, the photography package that you're going with. So it's up to you if you want to put it on the owner and get it, or if you have the ability to pay for that. And then the nice thing about you doing the photos is that it's also getting you social media content. Hey, Hayden, good morning. Hey, Ursu, what's going on? See you guys on the YouTube. So what I want you to kind of wrap your head around is when it comes to these documents, you kind of can make your own document, your own agreements, and change things as you like. Indemnity, hold harmless. Okay, commissions. Owner agrees to pay the agent of commission. I've talked about this in other videos. Commission can be 4 to 6% based on the sales price, up to $2-3 million. That's kind of the playground that I'll play in. It's up to you if you want to change the commission. If you want to do a flat rate, you can do that. If you want to do a tier system, okay, we've had people do tier systems where if I sell it within 60 days, I get 6%. If it takes longer than 60 days, it's 5%. I've had it where if I sell it for $1 million, I get 6%. If I sell it for 900 grand, or I get 5%. If I sell it for 800 grand, I get 4%. So it's a diminishing tier system based on the sale price, which motivates me to sell it at a higher price, or diminishing tier system based on the date of sale, which encourages me to sell sooner rather than later. You can do all sorts of things. It's your contract. It's your agreement with the client. Be as creative as you want. So that's the first one. That's the listing proposal. Now, I will usually send this, and let me see if I can find one for you guys. I will usually send this. Okay, it looks like this, along with something I've designed on Canva. It's it's like 4-page listing proposal, what to expect, and frequently asked questions, and all this kind of stuff. And then there it is at the back end. It's a 1-page agreement. So, okay, that is number one, the listing proposal. Now, let's say you're on the other side. Let's say you're on the buyer side. So this is obviously the listing agreement is for sellers. That's what we're doing here. Now let's talk about the buyer side. So someone comes to you and says, Tom, I want you to find me a private jet. What will you do for me? Well, no problem. So the acquisition agreement, again, is solidifying the exclusive component of the relationship. So if somebody comes to me, I got a client that's looking for a citation. Great. Do you have an acquisition agreement? That's the first thing I'm going to ask, because I need to know, do you have a written relationship with this person that says you are getting paid, you are the guy I need to talk to, you're almost the decision maker, in this process? Because if not, then, well, how do I know that somebody else doesn't have it? And then I have 4 people calling me on this one citation. They're all representing the same buyer, and things just get hairy and confusing from there. So this is the reason why we have the acquisition agreement, is to confirm for you that you are the representative for the buyer. So we've got exclusivity. We will do acquisition services. We'll do research and comms, offer negotiation services, coordinating escrow services, pre-purchase survey coordination, closing, delivery, and delivery of the aircraft. So we coordinate. Right. That's the nice thing about being a broker. You're a master of chaos. You're a single point of contact, and you help make everything come together in concert. That's a lot. You're wearing a lot of hats. It's not just searching the market. Okay, here you go, and then the buyer has to figure it out on his or her own. But you're doing the market research. You're advising the buyer, like, hey, this is a good buy. This isn't a good buy. Here's some things you need to look out for. Hey, let's set up escrow. Let's make sure things are getting in on time. Paperwork's being filled out on time. Like, you're doing a lot. Just this morning, I was filling out KYC, information by going, I had to go online for my clients, and I had to get, basically do data entry for him so that we could fill out the paperwork so that they can enjoy their time out west, because they're on vacation with their family. So it's not up to them to go fill out a form, right? If I can do it, or, I'm going to go do that and just get them to sign it. Simple as that. So we do all of that when it comes to the acquisition services. Here's the fee. For me, real quick, I have a scale of under $500,000 is 25K, up to $1 million it's 50K, $1 million to 2 million 75K, and 2 million above it's 100K for acquisition service. Then now, this is the thing. When do you get paid? So what I will do is I will talk with the buyer for a while. I will present market, reports. I will build up my case that I'm the guy for the job, and then I will tell them this, like, hey, within 2-3 weeks, I'm going to come back to you and I'm going to say, hey, I want you to use me as your broker. It's going to be a down payment of X, could be 10%, could be 5,000, could be 10,000, a non-refundable down payment, which is basically, so I have to do the work to earn that amount as a down payment. And then the rest is due at closing. Now you can it's all due at closing, zero money down. That's totally up to you. I've tried that. I just haven't had much luck with the buyers actually following through. Every time I've done zero money down, those buyers have not followed through. And I've even had it where I did a non-refundable up front and somebody didn't end up using me to the end, but at least I got the non-refundable for all the legwork that I was doing, for those weeks, prior. So that's why we do what we do. Acquisition templates can be harder to get signed. It's not very common, but some brokers really specialize in it. I'm trying to get better at it as we kind of go along. So there's the fees, cost not included. If I have to go travel to an aircraft that's outside the United States, we're going to look for, some kind of reimbursements on that. Indemnification. Hey, listen, you got to do your own due diligence. I'm not signing up to be your A&P, your pilot, or anything like that. I am just kind of putting information together. And again, this is also here, pre-purchase survey indemnification. Hey, listen, we're not doing anything here. Legal, no part of this agreement shall critic, right? Yeah, so that's pretty much it. And then similarly with the proposal, for the listing proposal, I will send them something nice and fancy like this, where it's multiple pages, why you should, why you shouldn't buy a jet on your own. Here's some testimonials, right? So, all right. These are the listing and the acquisition agreements. Now let's get into 2 more documents. The letter of intent. The letter of intent is the first step in making an offer on an aircraft. So I will draft up a letter of intent if I'm representing the buyer. If I represent the seller, I will get the information from the buyer. Sometimes it's from a broker and they'll have their own letter of intent. Or if it's just a direct end user that wants to buy the aircraft, I will send them a link to a Google form that has some basic questions on what I need to fill out the letter of intent. Who's the purchasing party? Actually, let me go ahead and show you. So if we're online here, let's go here. Let's go here. So here's our make offer page. And here's how to understand, pre-buy. So here's all the form. I need your name. I need your email. I need your company name, company address. I need the registration number of the aircraft, serial number, their offer purchase price, what's your deposit amount, escrow company and agent. Let's see, pre-buy details. What do you want for your pre-buy? Do you want a logbook review, a borescope of engine, visual inspection, test flight? Where's the aircraft going to take place, the survey going to take place? If it's going to be other, tell me, okay, we're going to Textron in Orlando. Survey results. So what do we want to do? Whatever squawks you find. Are we going to seller fixes airworthiness items, or is this as is, where is? After the survey, seller is not responsible to fix items unless they agree. So I'm getting an idea of what kind of deal they want to do. I've already talked to the person about this, but I'm getting this in writing. Are we doing the AIR? Okay, yes or no? And any other offer notes. Hey, I also want to do a soap sample or a 5-point test run or whatever it might be. So I have them fill out this form. That gets me the information for the LOI. So within the LOI, again, we have the purchase price. One important aspect of the LOI is the timeline. So when are we doing stuff? Within blank days of mutual execution, buyer shall wire refundable deposit. Usually we want to do within 1 or 2 days. So, let's get rolling. Sometimes if you're dealing with an international deal, you might need some more time. If you say like 10 days or something like that, that might raise the flag for the seller. Like, okay, what's taking them so long? where's the deposit going to, what escrow company you're going to use. There's a handful of escrow companies out there. Aerospace Reports is a good one. IATS, I think we're using on a deal right now. I insured Aircraft Title Services. I use them a lot. So yeah, there's a lot of different escrow agencies you can use. It's really good that you find an escrow company to work with and find an escrow agent that you like working with, and then continue to build that relationship and work together in multiple deals. You build a relationship. It's a really good, someone that you want to know is an escrow agent, a good escrow agent, someone. And here's some things to think about with escrow agents. Every escrow company has their own, SOPs, their own standard order of operations or operating protocol. So some of them are very high tech, and they do everything through an online portal. Some of them do a lot of worksheets that you need to go through. Some are very like chill and just you just send an email and things just like magically get done. I like working with those kinds of guys. Believe it or not, I'm not really into all the portals, the online portals and stuff. But anyway, number 3, following the execution and receipt of formal aircraft purchase. Okay, so the LOI is saying that, hey, we need more. We're going to do a formal APA. Within blank business days of the receipt of the deposit, buyer may conduct preliminary inspection. Now, this is important. Maybe you want, within 5 business days of the signing of the contract, they can do a preliminary visual inspection. Maybe the seller doesn't care if there's money in escrow or not. Well, this is, stating, listen, we need the money in the deposit in before you go touch the airplane. Following the preliminary visual, sometimes maybe there's not a preliminary visual. Maybe we go right to a regular pre-buy. They've seen it already. But following the preliminary visual and mutual execution of the APA, buyer at buyer's expense shall do a pre-purchase survey at blank on or before blank. So following, they've done a preliminary visual. Sometimes that's not always there. They've signed the APA. And this is when it needs to start. Here's what it's going to include. Maybe in here you also put in something like it only lasts a day or two, or how long it's going to last for. The intent will make sure that it conforms to inspection and shall be completed within blank business days. So this is important. Like so what we're doing with the letter of intent is we're saying to the seller, hey, Mr. Seller, I'm interested in your aircraft. Here's what I want to do to see if it's the right aircraft for me. I'm going to give you a refundable deposit. I'm going to come check it out. If I like what I see and it is as advertised, I'm going to proceed into a fuller inspection of it. Okay. Now the inspection might be really big, and I want to do a phase 1 through 5 inspection at Textron, or it might be, hey, I just want to come take a look at it for 2 days with my pilot, and I'm just going to spend 2 days with the aircraft. All right. Once that's done, we tell them, is this an as is where is deal, where you do your due diligence, and then whatever squawks or discrepancies pop up, you don't have to buy it, and the seller doesn't have to sell it. You just find out what you're getting yourself into. Or is this, you want the seller to repair any airworthiness items that get popped up. Now, obviously, if you're expecting him to pay for stuff that your guy finds wrong with the aircraft, that's opening him up to more exposure. So he's going to want a higher asking price for that. If you're just going to take it as it is, where it is, and you've got resources and you don't mind like fixing stuff, well, then maybe you get a better price for the aircraft. So I always say, like, the deal, the offer that you're making to a seller is not just how much money you're willing to pay for the aircraft. It also comes down to the terms. How fast are we moving? Where's it going? What kind of survey are we doing? Are you expecting them to fix everything? What are your expectations when it comes to the terms of the deal? Then this is buyer shall have X amount of business days. Now you might say, this is outlining a lot of stuff, but don't forget Section 9. We've got the parties agree that this is this is a non-binding letter of intent, not intended to create a deal here. We're just kind of putting it all out there so we're on the same page. And then this offer is valid until blank. So this is an example of timeline, which is very important. So you might think, okay, well that's that should be pretty much all you need to make a deal. And I've seen deals go through on just an LOI. Those are for more my fix and flippers, that sort of thing. But now you notice the LOI is 2 pages. Here's our purchase agreement. This is 9 pages. Okay. And within this, there's a lot more detail that's going into this. So we're spelling everything out, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I've got other videos that kind of do that, but big things, purchase price, escrow fees, who's doing escrow. Okay. What is the aircraft What is the delivery condition? Let's spell it out. It's got a certificate of airworthiness. Well, what is airworthy? Airworthy condition suitable for operations according with the FARs, current on manufacturer's programs, compliance with FAA airworthiness, ADs and SDs with all documents. Well, what do we mean by documents? With the following paid, making sure all the programs are on there, which specific programs are paid, as specified in the aircraft specification. So later on, there's like an exhibit back here if you wanted to, that's important. Like if you have an avionics, list, you want to make sure it has everything and you're not selling it, you say it had Garmin 750s and then all of a sudden the seller takes out the 750 before he sells it. It's like, no, you agreed to sell it with these specs in them. Same thing with flight hours. No material corrosion. What does that mean? Preliminary, what does it mean by the preliminary visual survey? Okay, well, that's going to include a logbook review. Do they want to do a test flight on the preliminary visual? Like you can add that there and take things out. Where's it taking place? Rejection or failure to inform. So once the preliminary survey is completed, how do we let them know if we're moving on to the pre-purchase? This tells us how. Pre-purchase inspection. Here's what's going on with it. It shall last no longer than blank. The inspection shall be performed by who? Who's doing the inspection? And then who's paying for the cost for the pre-buy? Then what happens when they accept? They can accept it and go to close. They can reject it and move on their way, or they can conditionally accept. Well, what does that mean? Well, if they conditionally accept, they give them a discrepancy list that they want the buyer to proceed with it, to fix in order to proceed. And then at that point, the seller can elect to remedy it, terminate the agreement. And then what happens if he terminates it? Well, what deposits go back? This is all these details. And you can take stuff out. So maybe you take out C. There is no conditional acceptance. It's either as is, where is, they accept it or they reject it. Again, these contracts can be changed. And once you have it, you'll understand the framework. And then when you're reading other people's contracts, that allows you to look out for some things, and you'll kind of get an idea of how these deals will typically go. Discrepancies, if they can't be corrected, what happens? Failure to delivers. When's closing taking place? Where is closing taking place? Sometimes you don't close where the aircraft is located or where the pre-buy is taking place. You need to go to another state for tax purposes. So this outlines that. What are the specific documents that we need for closing? Any warranties is as is, where is. What is the international registry? Are we signing up for that? What happens, if something happens during the pre-buy, who's liable for that stuff, the risk of loss, destruction, or damage, who's paying taxes, what happens if a hurricane comes or there's explosions, serious accidents, government priorities, allocation strikes, et cetera, pandemics. What do we do in the case of a pandemic? What is this agreement? What do we do with this agreement? Where, if there's any disagreements, where are we going to hash out our differences? How do we do amendments? How do we do assignments? Who's paying the escrow fees? Usually 50-50. For a $600,000, $500,000 to $1 million, escrow fees, we're looking at roughly $2,000. So you split that in two, and that's kind of what you're looking at. And that's a basic APA. Now you can get, I've seen 20-page APAs where there's like 6 pages just of definitions. So what are we all talking about? So you can get as super into it as you want. It's kind of up to you. And there's different, networks like GLADA. If you join the Global Licensed Aircraft Dealer Association, part of your membership is you get access to their documents, and they have a very robust aircraft purchase agreement. Here's some exhibits. So when someone's going through the APA, they know what are they going to have to sign later on. Here's the acceptance or rejection page. Here's the warranty bill of sale page saying, from the buyer, hey, listen, I'm giving you everything I told, from the seller, I'm giving you everything I said I would, and now you just kind of leave me alone. And here's the acceptance and delivery, just to confirm from the buyer side. Yep, we receive everything that we wanted, and now we are going to hold everybody, indemnify everybody from, like, okay, the deal's done and we're satisfied. So, all right. Well, if you guys have any questions, I would love to connect with you guys. If not, no worries. But that was a quick overview of the documents that you're going to want to need being a jet broker. And I guess some ways to get screwed. Let's talk about that. When it comes to the acquisition agreements and the listing agreements, ways to get screwed is you don't get paid. Okay, if you don't have a written agreement with someone and you go through an entire deal, you're basically operating on a handshake and they decide not to pay you. That, too bad. What if you are representing a seller, you don't have an agreement, you're expecting to get a $25,000 commission, squawks pop up, and now all of a sudden the buyer wants 100 grand off, and the seller's like, okay, well, I'll just take it out of Tom's commission. So now you don't get any commission, and they sell the plane without you because there's no agreement. So what are we doing here? Yeah. Or you represent a buyer, you don't have an agreement, you go to another broker and tell them, hey, this guy wants to buy something, and that broker either sells him the plane that you put him in touch with, or puts him onto another plane, and now that broker makes commission, you don't make anything because you didn't have an agreement with the buyer. When it comes to letters of intent, since they're not a legal document or a binding contract, let's say, there's a little bit more leeway, but basically what you don't want to happen is you don't want to pitch an LOI that's like, yeah, I'll give you $1 million as is, where is, one day, we get everybody to agree upon it. And then when you type up the aircraft purchase agreement, the buyer has different thoughts. It's like, instead of $1 million, I'm only going to pay 900 grand. And I want to take it to Textron for like a 2-week pre-buy just to make sure everything's okay. That's a completely different deal. So you want to make sure the APA is reflective of the LOI that you agreed upon earlier on. And, when it comes to the APA, I mean, you just got to read that thing real closely, know it like the back of your hand, because things are going to pop up. Things are going to happen. For example, who's paying for what? Who's paying for the pilot and the fuel for the test flight? When are they paying it? Are they paying directly to the pilot and the station with a credit card, or is the seller going to pay for that stuff and get reimbursed later? All these little nitty gritty details need to be spelled out, because when stuff hits the fan, I always go back to the document. What does the document say? We had a situation just I think it was like 2 weeks ago, where the pre-buy was completed and we needed an acceptance or rejection on that day. And when we called the broker, they were like, oh, well, we're going to probably sign something like in a week or so. And so we had to go back to the contract and say, no, hey, look, like, you completed your pre-buy and it's due today. Like, it's due today. And if they don't do that, then we are out of contract. Now, what happens when you're out of contract? Well, anything can happen when you're out of contract. And so what happens is, what you can do is you create what's called an amendment. And so an amendment is just another sheet of paper that has, both parties listed on that. And it says, okay, here's what we're amending. Okay, we don't have to tell them that we're going to accept or reject for another week. Okay, seller agrees and the buyer agrees. And now we have another piece of paper that shows, okay, well, listen, we came to an agreement, even though I was supposed to tell you if I'm accepting or rejecting because I'm out of town, because we're still getting information on the pre-buy, whatever the reason is, doesn't matter. Here's the piece of paper that says we've amended the contract so that I get another week to decide whether or not I want to purchase this aircraft. Amendments are a good thing to know. But when you're out of contract, the problem is anything can happen unless you've specified in the purchase agreement, hey, what happens in the case where we're out of contract? For example, you might have an acceptance or rejection clause that says, if they don't tell us within 5 days of getting the pre-buy report or on this date, the aircraft is automatically assumed accepted. And so in that case, the buyer knows, like, I have to answer this deadline or create an amendment, otherwise I'm going to accept this aircraft. So just a lot that goes into it. I don't recommend you trying to tackle this on your own. Either get with me or another experienced broker, or even better, find an aviation attorney that can help you walk through a deal, because every deal is different. And I hope that this live stream has helped you, not get screwed. Take a look at some of the the documents that are available to you to help you, navigate a deal. And again, the documents bundle for JetLife Aero is available for sale as a standalone item. You can click the link in the description below, or join our team. We're always looking for people that are looking to change their life through aviation. JetLife Aero is an agent-focused, cloud-based brokerage that is looking to help people change their life through aviation, the same way that aviation changed my life. So again, my name is Tom Lelyo. I'm your ultimate jet guide. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll catch you later. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you in the future.